I've been selling plants and produce for 3 years legally. And the reason that I can say that confidently is because I did the research up front. You can cut to the chase with the tools I have here, so let's get started. I'm Michelle from Growing the Good Life, and I've researched pretty much every detail you can imagine that has to do with seedling sales. This isn't legal advice. I have to tell you that this is just for entertainment purposes, and that if you need legal advice, you should consult a lawyer. Real quick, I put together a legal checklist for seedling sales. It's free, it's in the description, and it's going to save you hours of research. I will be referencing this document during this video, so I want you to hit pause right now, go down to the description of this video, click the link, and download that free legal workbook for seedling sales. You'll want to have it open as we go through these sections. Now, I know this is not fun at all. We're going to spend about, less than 10 minutes, and we're going to get through all of this. There's a sentence I like to start with, and this may sound a little bit funny to you, but it really works for me, and I want you to use it. It is a sentence that I thought of when I was sweeping the floor last week, and it really summarizes everything that you think of when you're running a seedling sale. I am selling these plants somewhere. I am selling these plants somewhere. Now, every single word in that sentence is there for a reason, and it represents something that you have to consider. I'm not telling you how to run your business or handle your business, but I'm just making you aware of all the things to think about, and you can decide what you do with those things. Now, I is the first word in the sentence. I. And so that means you're selling it, right? So how are you selling it? Are you a sole proprietorship who's just using your social security number to file your taxes? Great. That's wonderful. You've thought about it. You've decided it. On to the next. We're done with that part. Maybe you're a single entity or single person LLC. Whatever it is, the I in that sentence represents who's selling, right? And is that part handled? Okay. I am selling. So you're selling them. That means, do we need to think about selling sales tax? I am selling these seedlings, okay? These, however many you're selling, these seedlings, what kind are they? That's going to dictate whether you might need a nursery license. Different plants are handled different ways, and we'll get into each of these different sections, but I just want you to see, I am selling these seedlings somewhere. It encompasses everything you need to think about. It's actually kind of fun. I've been thinking about this sentence because I needed a way for you to think about all the stuff, this legal stuff, this official stuff. How do you think about it in a way that's easy to remember? I am selling these seedlings somewhere. I am selling these seedlings somewhere. Now, where are you selling them? Are you selling them at your house? If you're selling them at your house and you own your home, you might have a homeowner's insurance policy. That policy, your general liability, probably. Now, I'm not a real estate lawyer or any kind of lawyer. This is just for entertainment. But generally speaking, your general liability policies will not cover business activities inside your home. So if that's the case, you have to decide, if someone gets hurt on your property while you're selling them seedlings, are you willing to take the risk of paying for whatever those damages are on your own? And that's your decision to make, right? I'm not sitting here telling you, you've got to have an insurance policy. You've got to do this. That's not what this is at all. What I want to do is tell you what to think about. Give you an idea of what to think about so that it's not so scary. You can think about it. And once you've made a decision and you've assumed risk that's comfortable for you, you're on to the next. So I am selling these seedlings somewhere. That's the sentence I want you to think about as we go through this section by section. Okay. So I'm just going to, the I part, which is how is your business set up? You got a couple of options if you're in the US for federal tax. You know your details better than I do, but just generally speaking, how's your business set up? Are you a sole proprietorship who is just filing taxes through your social security number, or are you a single entity or single person LLC or something else, some sort of corporation, some sort of, whatever you want to do is your business, but the I covers that. I am selling. When I started thinking about what a normal person would Google if they wanted to sell seedlings, I came up with selling vegetable seedlings in North Carolina. I was selling vegetable seedlings and I'm in North Carolina. And I just typed that in. And this was a couple years back, one of the first documents that came up or articles that came up was so helpful to me. And that was an article from a lady named Dr. Janine Davis from NC State University. And her article is called, "Are You Selling Transplants This Year? Do you know the rules? This is pretty amazing, honestly, because even though it's for North Carolina, I have taken this and adopted it for you so that no matter what state you're in, you can refer to this article and you can ask your state representatives, your extension agents, your state agriculture contact, do you have something like this that can help me understand my rules in our state? So you can use this as a jumping off point for yourself. And so before I get too far into this, I do want to give you a little bit of a decision tree. Ask yourself these 4 questions, and all of this is in the workbook, and I'll show you right here. Are you selling annual seedlings that you grew yourself? Yes. If you are, then you're going to go to the next question. If the answer is no, then you might need a nursery license. Question 2, are your buyers using plants for home gardens, for their own home gardens? If your answer is yes, you're going to go on to question 3. If the answer is no, if you are supplying to commercial companies, then you're going to want to check commercial requirements in your state. Question 3, are you selling locally within your immediate area? If the question answer is yes, then you're going to go on to question 4. If it's no, then you are going to research interstate shipping requirements. Now, let me tell you something right here. The nature of these questions are going to help you understand what you really want to do. And maybe you had thought, well, you know what? I'm going to have a website and I'm going to ship all over the country and we're going to have a good old time. But now that you're seeing that you might have to have a nursery license, you might have to spend $100 a year, you might have to be inspected. If you cross state lines with people buy your plants across state lines, then you're gonna think about that. You're gonna have to think about that. So if you're selling locally, just within your immediate area, and your answer is yes, let's go on to question 4. Are you selling fewer than 500 plants total? If the question answer is yes, then that means you're likely clear in most states. So if you're selling annual seedlings that you grew yourself to people who have home gardens that are in your immediate area and you have fewer than 500 plants, the excellent news for you is that most likely, again, this is not legal advice, you need to consult an attorney, is that you probably don't need a permit. Okay, a lot of states, most states, including mine, has an exemption for things like this. If you answered yes to all 4 questions, you are likely operating in a very safe zone, so you could feel a little bit better. A lot of people get kind of scared. If you've answered yes to all 4 of those questions, you're probably in good shape. My research story and method is in the legal workbook, and this is how I figured out my laws. This is how you can do it too. You can adopt it for your state. So I started simple, and then I got specific. My first Google search ever was selling vegetable seedlings in North Carolina. Okay? And the reason that this worked is because I was not getting overwhelmed by legal jargon. I simply said the simplest way possible. I said it in the simplest way I could. It really wasn't even a question. So I found this amazing goldmine article that I'm sharing with you in the workbook. It's written by Dr. Janine Davis, and it is titled, Are You Selling Transplants This Year? Do You Know the Rules? I mean, it's pretty much on a silver platter. The article was perfect for a lot of different reasons. It was written by an NC State Extension specialist, super credible. It was specifically about North Carolina laws, so it was credible and relevant to me. It has been updated as recently as 2022. I started looking up these things around 2022, but the article itself was first published in 2010. So she has updated, or some of her colleagues have updated this article anytime something changed. So that made me feel good. It also included direct links to more official sources that I could research there. And this article was written for farmers and not lawyers. And so it was perfect for me because it was just what I needed when I needed it. And so not only do I have an article link, I have a person's name, I have her email address. I can now correspond with her about specific questions. And I can't tell you how much better I felt after that. Now, not only is the fact that there was even an article and the name of a person I could talk to, those 2 things were great. But what was even better was what was in the article. The key quote that changed everything for me was, if you grow transplants and sell them in North Carolina for home garden or any other non-commercial use, you are exempt from the inspection and certification requirements. Boom. And there's a magic 30-mile rule. If you are selling to a local farmer within a 30-mile radius of where you produce the transplants and she or he has personal knowledge of the conditions under which they were grown, you are exempt from those rules, which also means that even if you're selling to a farmer who is a commercial entity, if they are a local farmer, there is an exemption there. And so I was looking for peace of mind, and this article absolutely gave it to me. Now, before you say, but Michelle, that's for North Carolina, that's not for me. I know. You can go look for this as an example. You can use this as an example in your communications with folks. Look for annual plant exemptions. Find the home garden use exemption. Now, all these things are in parentheses or in quotation marks. They're in the workbook. Check for local sales exemptions. That's how they'll talk about this stuff. And then understand what triggers licensing requirements, because something's going to trigger you to have a license. And you want to know what that is, if for no other reason, to make sure that you don't go above that threshold, right? So this is how we're going to use this to tailor your seedling sale. So North Carolina defines nursery stock as plants that need licensing. But here's the key for me. Annual plants are specifically excluded. And so I don't need a license for annual plants, cut flowers, seeds, or plants for home garden use. So wow, that was amazing for me. So I don't need a nursery license, or I don't need it to be registered. I don't need to be certified. I don't need to be inspected because of the type of plants I have and how I grew them and who I'm selling them to. Okay. And so now you see how the sentence, I am selling these plants somewhere, is keeping me on track. It's reminding me. Next, step 2 was my sales tax research. So here's my next super simple Google search. It's in quotation marks. Do I need to collect sales tax if I'm selling homegrown annual vegetable seedlings in North Carolina? All right. So the good news, I have the green light in North Carolina because I'm exempt. And the reason I'm exempt is because I grew them myself and I am a producer and not a merchant. So over 50% of what I sell is grown by me on my property. It is grown here on my farm. So I am considered a producer. And because I'm considered a producer and not a merchant, I don't have to pay sales tax on those things. And I'm not primarily in the retail business. I'm not a mercantile. I'm not a trading post. I'm not a place where lots of other people sell their items at my store. Okay. If I wanted to be that someday, then I'd have to figure that out when I get there. But right now, the only thing I grow is what I sell. The only thing I sell is what I grow. So I'm okay there. And I keep records proving that I grew them. And good news, this workbook, okay, that you're going to go down to the description and get if you haven't already, is considered your records. So you're going to write down, as we're planning through your seedling sale, what you're going to grow. Okay, so we went through scenarios that said you don't owe sales tax or you don't have to collect sales tax, right? So you don't have to wake up in a cold sweat every quarter thinking, do I owe sales tax? Where's my booklet? Where do you need to worry about sales tax? Number 1, if you bought plants to resell, if you're primarily a retail merchant and over 50% of what you sell was brought in from the outside, and if you're selling at temporary retail locations as a business, you may need to collect sales tax and report it. Okay? The record keeping requirement that you're going to want to think about is you must maintain separate records to prove the sales were of products that you produced yourself. These records, you'll have to look into what they mean for you, but you just need to keep records. Okay. We've talked about the kind of business you have. We've talked about what kind of plants you're selling. We've talked about sales tax and whether you should collect it or not. The last step we're going to talk about, this is something that is personal to you, and it is completely up to you as to how you want to handle it. And it's your insurance. If you are selling, I have a Farm Bureau insurance policy at the farm stand that covers my farm stand sales. If you are selling at a home location, your general liability insurance for your house will typically not cover business activities. So you may need to have either a different policy or a business policy. Your insurance agent will know the answer to that. And I am not telling you that you have to have any additional insurance. All I'm suggesting is that it's possible that your current insurance will not cover something if your neighbor down the street buys seedlings from you and picks them up at your house and trips and falls and they decide to sue you. Okay? That's all I'm saying here. So that is where the I am selling seedlings somewhere. This is the somewhere. I am selling seedlings somewhere. I am selling these seedlings somewhere. That's all you have to think about. That covers your business, covers your whether you need a nursery license or not, covers whether you need to collect sales tax or not, and covers what you need to think about with insurance. And again, the legal workbook is insanely detailed, and I basically have just walked you through it pretty much for this video because I did make it so detailed. I wanted you to have something to walk away with so that you can keep track of your fantastic seedling sale that you are going to run. Now, that's it for this episode 2. For episode 3 is the next episode. The next episode in this series is market research. What will actually sell in your area? So not just my area, your area. In the next video, we are going to cover my exact market research system so that you never grow things that people don't want. And as always, I know you could have spent time anywhere, but you chose to spend it with me, and I really appreciate it. Bye for now.